And one of the things I like about where we are now, the Inner Farne Islands, the king likes these Celtic saints because they genuinely represent like the magical power, a bit more like a druid or Merlin.
Well, it's like you say about the spirituality that interests you.
Yeah.
They're clearly getting this from traditions much further east, probably down into India, probably out on the Silk Road into Eastern Asia.
And I like that story that Cuthbert arrives for one of the Saxon kings, Ethelfrith.
I can never remember.
One of those Ethel guys.
I asked Sam about that.
Yeah. And the king's saying, good, I want you by me, you're the man of power. Cuthbert says, actually, no, I think I'd rather pop off and go to the Inner Farne and sit quietly by myself.
The really nice thing, which people must look at, is this painting in Willington Hall in Northumberland, which is a National Trust property. Yeah. And there's a painting by a guy whose name will come to me, mid-19th century. And it's a painting of Cuthbert in his cell on Inner Farne out there. And I think it's Equin, the king, has come out to try and persuade him
to come
back to the mainland to be the bishop.
Yeah.
And there's an old Cuthbert shown there with his duck and his onions growing, and he's going like this to the king, and you can see he's pretending to be deaf, what's that, and he clearly doesn't want to leave, and Theodore of Tarsus is there in the picture, the great Eastern bishop who's been sent to do the job that Augustine didn't do. And he's there trying to persuade him as well. And of course, eventually they do persuade him. But you can see the reluctance that this artist has got.
And there's the old joke about Cuthbert it being representing the duck, sage, and the onion. But what's extraordinary for us is we've just been interviewing the local vicar.
Oh yes,
who's a lady.
Yes.
And our relationship with priests, the quiet or Church of England people, are these quiet, gentle vicars turning. Whereas these guys were the guys who you would be scared to death, could kill you.
Well, they put curses on you, see?
Put curses on you. And for kings, it was like having secret power source.
Yeah.
To have these guys who've been living in these places in the courts, standing by them when they went to battle, because I think some of the Anglo-Saxon kings believed that when they had Cuthbert on their side, they'd win.
Well, they all believed if they got a saint and the saint's banner and relics to do with saints, it would be powerful. But both Bede and Cuthbert describe the process of winning the kings over, and it's all done by rather dodgy miracles. and you can see the reason that must have been the case is that the way, if you like, the old religion worked was by impressing people with miraculous events.
This is Druidism.
Well, and all the rest of it, you see. And so the only way they're going to win these people over is to equally do something that's
stun the crowds.
And some of it's very dodgy.
Yes.
I mean, there's one where they're sailing out of the Tyne estuary, which is a bit down that way, and there's a load of monks on a raft, and clearly the raft is drifting out to sea, and they're all praying like mad that they won't be drowned and all that stuff. And miraculously, of course, that the raft starts to drift inland. Well, you don't have to be terribly bright to think that the river's taking them out, the tide's bringing them back in.
I think you're being very cynical. I think that was a supreme exercise in some sort.
But it's enough to sway the locals that I think it's Cuthbert.
And just on a final note, I think that's one of the interesting things we forget. England round about this time was full of marshes, woodlands, forests, and the sea out there.
Yeah.
The monks were as much sailors, navigators,
absolutely.
St Brendan and people like that.
Yeah.
You would get up and down this coast by boat. You wouldn't be trekking through all the woodlands because there weren't roads, there weren't this kind.
Well, I've just been in the helicopter flying over this, and there you get the right impression. Today, to get out to these islands is really quite a job, because you've got to go to sea houses, get a proper ferry that's got all the health and safety legislation, and how many people they can carry and all that sort of stuff, and where they can land and how long they can stay. These guys would have hopped in a curragh down here.
That's a leather-covered boat, like you still see in Ireland.
And they would be there in half an hour without thinking about it. Yeah. And then if they wanted to, they'd carry up to Lindisfarne, or they'd stop off at Bamburgh and see the king. Yeah. The sea is the highway, and their flexibility at getting about is probably as good as our road transport today. But it was all done by boat.
And just amazing, we're on a chapel site with St Ebb.
Yeah.
We're looking at this site again, and the influence of Lindisfarne and all these issues we're talking about.
It's really,
we're potentially excavating.
I mean, it's only just not visible.
Lindisfarne. Yeah.
Lindisfarne, round that headland.
All right, Mick. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you again, and
we'll talk again about other things.
Talk again about other things.
Other things, yes.